Hey there, we're going to make an Easter inspired resin tray and 2 coasters. And before I do anything, I'm just going to go ahead and mix the resin up because we have to time it anyway, and then I can be showing you everything I'm going to use and what we're going to use to make this beautiful process today. So let's get busy mixing. I've got a 32-ounce plastic container. It does have cured resin in it, and you can peel it out, but I'm just going to leave it in for today because sometimes you can peel it out and start fresh, or you can do it if there's a light coat of resin that's already cured. So we need 16 ounces of B. B will be first. Then A. Okay, so we are gonna set our timer at 6 minutes for mixing. You can go around, you can go back and forth, you can do crazy 8s. You don't need to go any faster than this. It's just it'll cause more bubbles, and it doesn't really do any good. You can just do it at an easy, slow pace. You don't have to wear yourself out. It's not a race. You just want to mix like this for 6 minutes and go around the edge of your mixing container many times during the mixing process just to make sure all that A and B is mixed together. And this mold holds probably at least 32 ounces. These hold over 4 to 5 ounces, so over 8 or 9 ounces of resin at least. I'm only going to use 6 ounces here and about 26 ounces in the tray, and then when it's cured we'll turn it over and we'll do a top coat to all of it, and then we'll also add the knobs to the tray just using the resin. No screws or anything like that. I'm going to fast forward through the rest of it. Okay, it's been 6 minutes that are finished, and now we're going to go to stopwatch and hit start, and it's really important on our timing to keep an eye on that. Super important. We're going to also put this aside and just let it sit for a while. We don't even need to use it anytime soon. This is kind of the time when you just you get prepared, but you don't go ahead and proceed. You kind of give the resin some time to sit and relax and let some bubbles rise and let it start to warm a bit, and that's when it kind of gets to that magical part where it does lovely effects. If you need to clean out your mold, use alcohol. I don't use baby wipes because there might be a little bit of residue from that. Alcohol evaporates, so there's nothing left from alcohol once you clean up. So just wiping out my mold just to make sure there's no residue. I noticed on the back there's some mica. Okay, so I've got 91% alcohol in my bottle. You got baby wipes around. I have a 300-watt low temp heat gun or heat tool, a 1800-watt heat gun. It has 2 speeds, low and high. And today we're going to use, for the white, we're going to use Armor Art white epoxy pigment. Pinata white alcohol ink, and in that a little tiny bit of Angel Wing mica by Counterculture DIY. It's kind of got a golden shimmer to it, even though it looks like pearly white. So that's going to be the white mixture. The purple is going to be Violet Rain by this little piggy Fluid Art Company, and this is mica, beautiful purple mica. And we're going to use lavender Bray Reese alcohol ink. There's a deep violet alcohol ink that I have that was from a set. I was going to use the Pinata Passion Purple, but it is super, super powerful, so I'm going to skip it. and use this cheaper alcohol ink that's not quite as powerful. As far as the white pigment, if you don't have the Armor Art, which is, you can get it from Counterculture or Amazon, you can use Cast and Craft white pigment, and that's on Amazon as well. And I'm going to use almost no pigment at all, so if I'm going to just put a tiny bit on my stick, but if you choose to use the Cast and Craft, you only want 1 drop. We're going to use some gold leaf for the center. I may use some Pinata Opal alcohol ink, which is gorgeous. I don't know if you can see the iridescent shimmer in that. And if I use that, I have to use a pipette, which looks like this, just a little plastic pipette. So I might use that in the middle because it's so pretty. So we're only at 7 minutes. Also, you have a torch, and I've got some paper towels taped around it just so I don't get resin all over the body of the torch. Use the torch. One tip is do not torch when you've immediately sprayed alcohol, which you can spray alcohol anytime during your process to release bubbles, and it just evaporates. So if you have alcohol on the surface or alcohol inks on the surface, if you use a torch, sometimes it will flame up. I've had that happen. Not like a huge fire, but it will start to have little flames, and you don't want anything like that. So if it's just laying on the surface, you've got to be really careful, and it's better to use your heat gun. And I also have just a little spoon that's about the size of my finger that we'll use to get the mica out. So I'll just wait till about 20 minutes or so, and then I'll come back and we'll just keep on working on this. Okay, so it's been 20 minutes, and I always clean my mold. I just like to put a paper towel on it so it doesn't get messed up. And here's the resin. I've got a digital temperature probe. It has a little light at the top that you can turn it on, and I'm just going to stick it in and just roughly see what temperature we're at. And it will get different readings at different parts of the resin. So right now it's just about 98 degrees, so it's not, you know, to that special golden moment yet. So, but if you keep an eye on your time, the time is really what helps you the most. I'm going to pour into this cup some resin, and this one I want almost to the top. I'm always so messy when I pour. Okay, so this is going to be for the purple, and got enough here that's probably about 2 ounces, and we'll go with that. And we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 drops of white alcohol ink. The epoxy pigment. So I have a stick here that's just cured, and I'm going to put my tip of my stick in and wipe off. So if you can see, there's just a tiny little bit on the end of the stick. Don't want much pigment in there at all. The angel wing mica, I'm going to put a spoonful. Sometimes you can stir it away from your piece so that it doesn't land in your molds, settle on your molds or anything like that. And this is starting to feel warm, so it's warmer in my cup than it actually is in the bigger container. Okay, this is going to be the Violet Rain one. I'll try that first before I put any more in. It's really about 2, but not heaping spoonfuls if you count it as 2. See, this is why you don't do this in the mold, because when you spill or the powder comes out, it would land in your mold and then it's hard to get up. Okay, I'm gonna just put a little bit more, not much. Wipe that spoon off. We're at 25 minutes. Such a pretty, pretty color. It's very vivid. Make sure to get around all those edges. I'll put that aside for a minute. Go ahead and pour my resin in. I'm going to do the molds, the coaster molds, probably about 3 ounces in each one. I'm not going to fill them up. And I'm gonna torch it. Okay. And a little bit of gold. I waited just a hair too long. I like to put a tiny bit of resin on the end of my stick. So we're gonna start I want this mostly to be the lavender. You don't want a ton of alcohol ink. You don't want it oversaturated, so where your white does not show through. So because these are light colors, I'm using a little bit more, but if it's more vivid colors, you would go a little more lightly. Okay, so this oval, you've got to make sure it's shaken up. I'm going to squeeze in a little in my pipette and just do a little bit around the center. Okay, that's it for the oval. Love that oval. Okay, this is the deep violet, 1 dot in the middle, just to give some depth behind that gold leaf. And that's all for that. 31 minutes, so it's about time to put the white in. Just going to go around and kind of intermingle that, and also here and here. And you want to keep that gold leaf right in the middle there. That's really strong in the coasters, but that's okay. The purple's pretty warm. I'm going to go ahead and put it in first before I do the white. So you put a little spout, and then you just come along that edge. I'm gonna do the coasters. Whoops. Get that out. You don't want it where it's not supposed to be. Back around. Take my skewer and just kind of move this back a little bit so it's kind of together. Okay, let's get this white in there. We're just going to go in a spiral. Oh, I got some gold that's moved away. And if it doesn't come out jiggity and it straightens up, that doesn't really matter. Okay. And then around the coasters. Gotta get it down. Try to just wherever it ended in blobs or whatever, and I'm gonna go ahead and heat it. So I'm trying to get that white moving and shifting. And then I'm gonna use my torch and just put a little heat to it as well. Now we're going to take a paper towel and the skewer, and we're going to go into the middle. Really, I'm just grabbing the edge of that white. I'm not scraping the surface. I'm not trying to get that gold leaf. Alright, now I'm going to come over here and do 8. It's sunk in the coasters a little bit lower, which is interesting. And the coasters are always going to look a little bit different from your tray. There's just because of the size and the chemical reaction and all that, it's just going to always look a little different. And you can do points out, however you want to do it. But I'm going to do this like I did the one the other day, and I'm just going to start in the center and swirl kind of out to the edge. Don't want to grab that gold leaf. Okay, and then on some of these here, I like to just kind of break up the long white area. gives it just more of a little wispy look when it really sets up. The resin really does its thing. And you can do that on the coasters as well, in the direction that you swirled it. You can spritz with alcohol if you want to, but don't torch it right after you do it, because it could flame up. And don't try to move your piece either after you've done this until it's at least 3 or 4 hours in, because it will shift on you and you'll ruin your design, and you don't want to do that. I'm also dragging this deep, beautiful violet rain out to the edge of the mold, because when we poured it in, it kind of stays where you pour it, and it is going to move inwards. This is going to be the part that looks kind of velvety on the other side when we unmold it, which will be our top side. And so you just want to get that purple out to the edges if you can, because it's so pretty. Okay, so now that the alcohol is, evaporated, I'm going to just lightly torch, not getting too close to the surface. I'm going to go back and use my stick to move the purple here as well. It's been 43 minutes, so definitely you're past your working time on the white. If you waited longer on the white, it wouldn't even move at all. I waited a little bit long on my previous video that I did that was pink. I waited just a little bit too long, and the white just kind of semi-stayed where it was put in, and I like for it to move and be kind of like petal shaped, petal transparent, translucent looking. So this coaster here, I'm going to move these. I'm on a good silicone mat that does let the mold slide on it. Sometimes if you have another kind of silicone mat, it won't slide as well, but get it to shift back, because it was definitely not even. Okay, I messed up one of them because it's shifted, but it may still be beautiful, and it may be something I just use alone by itself. A lot of times I'll sell the tray and then just give a free coaster with it that matches. I'll be back in about 4 or 5 hours. Okay, I'm never sure about what's going to be the results. Let's do the coaster that went wonky first. So even though it went wonky, it still looks okay. They're pretty. That violet rain is just a gorgeous purple. Look at that. It does look like velvet. Crushed velvet around the edge. I got some blobs, but they're pretty blobs because they're shimmery. So I'm trying to decide if I need a background color or leave it clear. Oh. That's what it looks like on wood. I'm just going to go ahead and mix up something and go for it. And just put the color in right then and there. Pearl shimmer is what I'm going to go with. And maybe some opal and maybe a little bit of purple with it. That's what I'm going to do. because those are really pretty color shift in the purpley blue tones. So I'm going to do 6 ounces, 3 of B, of A. Hit the timer for 6 minutes. See? Fast set. This is the one that has about a 10-minute working time and cures in an hour or 2. I love it. But you can't get special effects with it. I'd strictly use it for a flood coat or a layer of color. So this is the Opal alcohol ink. And we'll pipette. So I put a good amount of that in there, probably about 13 or 14 drops, and it just gives it sparkle already. I don't know if you can see that. And then mica pearl, I'm putting a heaping spoon. And like I said, I've got, let's see, 6 ounces. Just see how pretty this is. It's called Pearl. Can you see the blue opal effect? Okay. Then I'm going to add it's about 5 drops of lavender. Okay. Let me put 1 drop of, a couple of drops of sky blue, 3 or 4. Let's do actually the violet rain. I'm gonna do a little, just a little bit. Oh, it's getting there. It's getting there. Okay, let's do another, a little bit bigger scoop that time, but not going to add any more. Okay, it's getting there. Deep violet. A couple of drops went in. I was just going to do 1 or so, but oh, that's what I want. So it's a violet with a blue shimmer to it. So I think that's going to be a pretty complement. A little bit more of this opal alcohol ink, just for the fun of it. I don't have a lot of time, so I gotta get busy. Silicone brush, and I do a sweeping motion. Instead of just pulling it straight out, I kind of sweep it to the side. probably off camera. So you just sweep it in a kind of a curved motion. And the coaster has a little bit of a ridge from this being the top side while it was in the silicone mold, so it has kind of like a barrier that stops the resin from going over the edge. To make sure I had the right side face down. Let's see. This is so pretty. Hopefully it's not too blue. Hopefully it'll be a nice compliment when we turn it over after it's cured tomorrow. It'll cure in a few hours, but it's bedtime, so I'll wait till tomorrow to see what it looks like. And then tomorrow we'll put a top coat and attach the knobs. This is so easy, and you don't have to use the liquid mask because it doesn't go over the edges because it's thicker, and if you don't go overboard on your resin, then it's just like the perfect amount. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit more here. Let it cure. And see, it's starting to thicken up, so I'm not even going to really try to spread it anymore. I just want to make sure I've got it all out to the edges. Oh, it's so pretty. The color is one of my favorite colors, like a periwinkle but with the shimmer. And then I'm not even taking the resin off the brush. I'll just let it cure, and then it'll peel right off. And I'm just going to let it cure, and we'll take a look at it tomorrow. Okay, it is cured on the back. So that's just basically to give a background so that when you look through, can you see that pretty, pretty shimmer? I'll also show a video outside when it's totally finished. So I just love the colors. I'm a purple fan anyway. We're gonna top coat it with about 5 ounces of a fast set, 4 to 5 ounces of fast set on the coasters and the tray, and then set the knobs. And these are gold and crystal, just simple knobs. Everything below the video will be all the products and everything I've used. Okay, so I've used fast set, and as you can see, probably, I don't know if you can or not, there's lots of bubbles in it because it's thick. And I'm going to do the coasters first, so I just pour about a puddle about 2 inches wide. So I'm going to start with these. Let's get this a little bit so you can see better. Using a silicone brush, and I use this for the back layer, and the next day you just kind of bend it and peel off the cured resin. So again, I'm just gonna pull that resin to the edges. Because it's thicker, it doesn't want to fall over the edge like the thinner viscosities would. And the beauty of fast set, again, is just that it sets up within 2 hours. You can touch it and everything. It's fabulous. So I can do this sitting with this 2 inches wide. 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 2 inches wide coaster, but I usually hold them, so the next time I'm going to pick up and hold. I just have better control seeing all the edges, and but you have to make sure that your hands don't have any wet resin or anything on them. I can just turn it as I go. And you have to work quickly. You cannot do this slowly because you only have 10 minutes. And it starts getting super tacky and thick, and it'll set up on you, and if you have a beautiful project, it'll ruin your project. And I'm going to torch those really quick and come over to the big piece. I'm not going to put, I'm going to leave a little bit in my cup. I'm going to heat this, I forgot to with those, but I'm going to heat it. That just makes it a little bit more movable and pliable, and you can kind of work it out from the middle. And then do the same thing, is just kind of do a curved motion, and you can kind of see where it comes right up to that edge, and it just kind of pulls back from the edge because it's thicker. It's just really fabulous to work with. And it's nice to have a turntable, but you want a turntable or a Lazy Susan that's at least as big as this piece, which is 13 inches. Because like if it were 9 inches or 10 inches, and the heat of the resin sometimes will make the tray relax a little bit because it's not really fully cured for 24 hours yet. So you're better off using something that's totally flat underneath it, that is as large as the tray, if not larger, and then there's no chance of it relaxing and bending or warping a little bit with the top coat. You just don't want that to happen. I've had that happen one time, and I was able to heat it and get it back, you know, to the normal flat part, but you just don't want to make work harder for yourself. So I'm coming from that middle and then curving, and then if it feels like it's getting a little bit harder to pull that from the middle, you can also heat it again. And then I also have resin left in my cup, which I'm just going to go ahead and pour it around, some of it around the edge here that I haven't done yet. But keep your working time under 10 minutes if you can. And then I just kind of spin it around and look at the edges under my lights, and I can tell if I've missed an area that didn't go all the way to the edge. Same with the coasters. And then I've got to put my knobs down again, and I'll put this on my silicone mat, so if it cures it's fine. Put my crystal knobs down, and you just got to figure out where you want to put them. Again, make sure your fingers are clean, and then I'm just going to press and wiggle. That releases any air bubbles underneath. And when you wiggle it and it doesn't move around, it's kind of firm, then you know that it's set pretty well. And you can also add a little bit more resin, which is always going to self-level, but keeping in mind that under the 10-minute time frame. And not touching your knob with the resin. You don't want to get resin on your pretty knob. Okay. So I'm going to take my stick. I'm not doing it over here, I don't want fuzz, but I'm wiping the stick off with the paper towel and let it cure so I can use it again and again and again. And then I'm just going to just keep an eye on your knobs for just a little bit, so that in case they shift or anything, you can kind of straighten them out while you're sitting here. And I'm going to cover it. Sometimes I use a deli cover that's larger, just to make sure that my net doesn't get in them. I'll be back in a couple hours.